can have 6 orgasms in a sexual encounter,
Well, that's impressive.
yeah, exactly. I think I had 8 on the weekend. Sorry, Julian. And I'm like, I am one lucky lady.
I reckon. Hi everyone, welcome to the Recovery Project. For those of you who watched our previous episode, you would have seen Lorraine's fabulous weight loss journey, losing over 40 kilos and sustaining it. Today we have a journey, again Lorraine, but today is all about her fabulous journey from being sexually blocked to sexually liberated and having fantastic orgasms, more than most of us could dream of. And we're going to hear all about how to have a way better sex life. So welcome back, Lorraine. It's lovely to have you back on our show again so soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back a second time. I came across help, with this work through my work with rapid transformational therapy. When I first trained in 2017 with Marissa Peer, she's the founder of RTT, and she trains, many of us around the world to do what we do. I was lucky enough to be on the course where she actually ran a workshop and an orgasm hypnosis, basically. And so that was the start of me clearing my own sexual blocks, like being on that training course. And then I've gone on to clear even more, so that I have that amazing sex life that I have, that you mentioned. I can have 6 orgasms in a sexual encounter.
Well, that's impressive.
Yeah, exactly. I think I had 8 on the weekend. Sorry, Julian. And I'm like, I am one lucky lady.
I reckon.
Yeah. So, and I never thought that was possible. I didn't think, like, when I was a young girl, I didn't even know what an orgasm was. I didn't even know what a clitoris was. It's not the type of thing most families sit down and talk about. I was single for 11 years before Julian and I got together. I've healed a lot of stuff before I got with Julian, and then so much with Julian that I've had to heal. Old beliefs, old blocks that so many people are walking around with, that they aren't even aware of. Every so often I would put myself into the dating pool. There's a deep need in every single human being for human connection. We have a need, not just for sexual connection, for human connection, for a partnership, for, connection with others. And that can be friendship or more intimate. That's wired into us. And so I would go, right, and I'd put myself out there, and then maybe have, a situation where something would happen and I lost the ability to say no. So when I was, like, if I just backtrack a little bit, when I was drinking, there was a lot of inappropriate sexual conduct. I had no barriers when I was drunk. I had a lot of things happen to me that were not pretty, were not safe. I got myself into a lot of unsafe situations. I had a lot of, repetition of sexual experiences that were not, not my choice, really, and of course I felt like it was my fault. I felt like I had caused it because I was drinking. I might have gone back to their house, all sorts of different things. But I know now today that I was not in a state that I should have been in those situations, so I got myself into a lot of those situations. And so, and I lost the ability to say no. So weight was a way to say no, just being completely disassociated. I just really wasn't interested, that's how it felt like. But I always had excuses. I'm too busy to date. I'm too busy. Work's too busy. Life's too busy. There was always an excuse. But to be honest, underneath it was absolute sheer terror. I was terrified to be intimate. My first sexual encounters were with alcohol. So when I stopped drinking, it was, I think, 2.5 years of sobriety before I had my first relationship with a fellow member of Alcoholics Anonymous in London. And it was just, the first experience was just terrible, I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like I didn't know how to do anything, or I couldn't relax, like it just wasn't. And that relationship didn't last very long, and, the difference today is that when I felt that with Julian, I could speak about it because I've done so much healing. I said to him, I feel like I'm a teenager. But that's also been great because we've used that to explore and learn and, try different things out and have fun with it, like have fun with feeling like a teenager that doesn't know what she's doing, as opposed to feeling shame or embarrassment or awkwardness around it. So, a lot of the things that people believe, like they believe that I can't have an orgasm, or, like no one's taught me about my body and how it works, so I don't know how it works. It's naughty or dirty to touch myself. A lot of stuff at school, dirty girls, slutty girls, like you're a slut, but he's a stud, like all these kind of things that we get taught that make us feel disconnected, and so I just felt once I had some release, I could orgasm by myself, but there was still like a massive fear of intimacy, like intimacy, into me, I see, someone's going to have to see into me and see all of me. And you're most vulnerable when you're, sexually intimate. You're completely naked and they're going to see all of you. And so if you've had, body image issues, like because I've been big and then been small, I've got my stomach has still got extra skin and things like that I don't feel comfortable about, and all of those things can just be up here, which then disconnect you from being in the body and in the pleasure and in the moment.
Fascinating. It's fascinating. Like when we look at young girls now and their relationship to their needs that they're after, and they're seeking it from, I guess, trying to be valued as a person. They want to get into groups that they want to feel comfortable and safe. What would you say to girls that are going through such times now? Because it's a different ball game.
Yeah, it really is. I feel for them at this age because you've got the social media and everything, like if I think of myself, like there was such a sense of needing to belong and fit in that I connected through drinking, drugs, and smoking. It's like, yeah, I'm one of the cool girls now, and that led to me being able to, kiss a boy and then do other things with boys that, sometimes I wanted to do and try. And other times I, like I said, with the drinking, I didn't. And I'd come to and think, I think the thing is today, I wish people would just talk about it more. I get a lot of women that go back to sexual scenes where they're having sex or being sexually intimate with someone because it's what you should do, and it's like he won't like me otherwise. He won't love me otherwise. He'll leave me otherwise. And if a guy says that, or a girl, vice versa, but if you are a young girl and somebody says, if you loved me, you'd have sex with me, get away from that person, because that is not love.
So if we, sort of look at your journey, you went from being very sexually blocked and avoiding it and not getting pleasure from it for those 11 years. And we know now you're in a fabulous place with it. Take us through what started changing for you. What did you do? What got you to the point of doing work on this? And, how did you free yourself to start really enjoying sex?
Yeah, so I, like I said, I was on the Marissa Peer training course for RTT. She did an orgasm workshop, and the first memory that I can remember that when she said, I'm taking you back, was I was being not forced, but encouraged, peer pressured to kiss a boy. And I was terrified. I was only about 10 or something. And they'd put me in this alleyway with him and they were like, kiss him, kiss him, kiss him. He didn't do anything either, right? He didn't do anything. But I was frozen. I was too scared. I didn't even know what to do. And then I was ridiculed for not doing it. And then I had the same thing at intermediate school. We played spin the bottle. And first you had to kiss on the cheek and then the lips, and then if you got them the third time you had to go in the cupboard and pash. My mind was like, I can't even kiss a boy. And then of course alcohol came along, and then I went the other way. I went quite promiscuous. Then I stopped drinking, and that's when I became like, whoop. Then I had a relationship with someone for 3 years that I put on the 40 kilograms that I talked about in the last, because that was a way to protect myself in that relationship. Then I'm on this course with Marissa, and I'm seeing these memories, and I'm seeing these things that happened to me. I'm seeing past sexual trauma that had happened to me, and I start to clear it. So for me, after that workshop, I went back to my Airbnb, and I was like, honey. Like, but I actually went back and I had the most amazing multiple orgasms by myself. And
Awesome.
It was the first time, because first time by myself. And it was just like, wow, and I then didn't become like, oh yeah, like I did feel like I was looking around for someone. And then I was like, no, I don't want to, that's not who I am. I don't want to just pick up some random stranger and, so I was really pleased that first experience was with
so
myself.
Before that, you just wouldn't have had an orgasm by yourself at all, and then suddenly bang, multiple orgasms.
No, with toys beforehand.
Right.
So I'd always needed the assistance of a toy of some sort, vibrator or whatever. But by myself, not to that degree. Like,
wow.
I'm going to ruin a song like Robbie Williams, "Love My Life" was playing, and I was literally like, "Oh my God, I love my life," And I think that was for me the start of it, the start of me realizing that, hey, I can do this, and it was wonderful. I didn't then come home and become like a rampant rabbit or anything like that. I was still quite blocked. There was still at least a year and a bit before Julian came into my life, and where I had lots of different RTT on different issues. So when we, ended up first being intimate, it was because of the emotional connection, because I knew him and I felt comfortable with him. I felt safe with him. I'd shared stories with him. He'd shared stories with me. I didn't just know facts about him. I knew some things about how he felt about things. And we'd had a laugh together. And it was then that I started to get, there was one time where he came round to my house in the middle of the day, and for lunch, and then of course it wasn't lunch, and he left like, and I was like really triggered into feeling like the old Lorraine that I'm just wanted for sex, that was one of my beliefs, that men only just want me for sex. They don't want to be with me and love me and have a relationship with me, but they'll have sex with me. And I get a lot of women with that. And so I had to, the difference is I had to talk to him. So I've been open with him the whole way. We've had conversations, we've sat down. If I've said no or stop, he's stopped. If I've felt triggered at any point, we've stopped and talked about things. Learning to know, what do I like? Like, you can like nibble my ear and lick around here, but stick your tongue right in. No, that's a turn off. It's been a journey of knowing myself, trusting myself to know that it's safe to say no, that I can be slim and say no. I can be slim and safe, even if I'm looking really sexy and Julian's like, you're looking really hot, and I'm not into it, I don't have to do it. So many women have this, I have to do it because my partner wants it, or, but I choose to do it because I want to. And so all of the things that I've done, as well as, like not waiting to heal to get into a relationship, healing once I'm in the relationship.
Can you tell us a couple of stories of like triggers that have happened with you and Julian that you've then been able to process together and end up in a better place?
Yeah, so there's a certain part of my body that you just don't touch, and sometimes Julian's touched me, and just in the heat of the moment, not, and the rage that came up in me one time was just so overwhelming that I was like, whoa, what is this, and it was because I'd set a boundary. I'd said, this is a place in my body that I don't like you touching, so please don't touch it. And he didn't consciously go, I'm going to hurt Lorraine, I'm going to do this. In the heat of the moment, things happened. But now he knows that that's not an area to touch, like that's like there's some soft, flexible areas where things have shifted in me that I'm like, you want to come around for lunch, honey? You can come around for lunch. There's no problem now, you know. There was another time we were walking along the beach and I was having trouble just being in the relationship because one of my old beliefs was it's easier and safer to be alone because you don't get hurt. So everything in me was screaming, end this, end this. And I'd come across this book by Katie and Gay Hendricks called Hearts in Harmony. And I was reading it and it was highlighting all of the things where you think getting in love is all wonderful and you're falling in love and it's amazing, but all of a sudden all your triggers are happening because they're triggering all these old things that need to be healed in you. And this is what was happening, all these old beliefs, and everything was screaming, run, run. And so I walking along the beach and he stopped and said, if you want me to go to a counselor with you, we'll go to a counselor. If you want me to read that book with you, we'll go to a book. I will do anything. And that just made me feel so safe, so loved that we read that book together, a page at a time. We'd read the book. I'd read a page, he'd read a page. We'd discuss it. He'd talk about it from his perspective. I'd talk about it by mine. Having someone who's open to doing those things with me has made me feel safe enough to keep opening up.
What would be the one thing you would say to men?
Know yourself and know what's right for you. You know, like there's things that men don't like having done to them either, you know, like or know what you like so that you can ask for it from your partner. You know, like both of us have the right to ask for what we like, and then both of us have the right to say no. Such a turn on for women in vulnerability, like because it's authentic, it's real. When a man is like, he doesn't have to be all like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, you know. Ask the woman as well, you know, like do you like this, don't you like, what do you like, you know, because every man is different and every woman is different. What worked for you with your last partner might not work for you with your next partner, you know. So
I found just what you said there with your partner, in terms of there is a real will to make things happen from his part. Because I find we find that we get too complacent in what we do in relationships that we just think, well, the same will be the same, instead of making that effort to change, which I pulled up there with what you just said, is he had a massive will to connect and to do what the relationship needed at the time.
Yeah. I mean, Julian is just amazing. Like I love Julian. When there's a disconnect, you know, we both come to talk about it. We both, you know, and we sit and we hold hands while we're talking through conflict sometimes, you know, to have that connection. And yes, sometimes he's triggered, sometimes I'm triggered, but we're both always willing to do the work, you know. Like I love dress up. You know, like I love dress up at music festivals. I love dress up in the bedroom. I love dress up. It's not his forte, but he has let me dress him up in so many different things, you know, like, and thank you, Julian.
And I know in this country and in Australia, 1 in 3 women will be sexually abused. And it's, I think for males, we've got to change our attitude at a very early age, and it comes from the household as well. I did a course not so long ago about it. I was just intrigued by the stats, the terrible stats, and the way, I think if you look at young kids now and how everything revolves around what the females do as opposed to what we're actually doing in terms of our attitude towards females, we get away with a lot more, clearly. It's been an old belief for many years and it should be broken, but I think it's up to us as male leaders, male modelling, to have conversations with our sons, which is a good starting point, I believe. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Son, you know, fathers with sons, mothers with daughters, everyone together. We need to talk about this stuff more. Sex is a normal, natural part of life, and it's an amazing, wonderful part of a loving, intimate relationship when done right. Men have just as many insecurities as women do in those areas that need to be talked about. What's inappropriate, you know, if someone says they're not interested, you don't just keep pushing and pushing until you wear them down. We need to be talking to our children and explaining, like, this is a vagina, this is a penis, you know, but this is what consent is. Because when we're children, if we're not taught these things, if we're not taught how to handle it or just even to tell someone about it, children think it's their fault.
Yeah.
Children think they've caused it. I must have done something to make that older boy touch me in that way. I caused it because I was drinking. No, I said no, even though I was drunk.
Boundaries are always moving targets. As a workshop I went to, they said, just because you said yes 5 minutes ago doesn't mean your answer is still yes. Like, you're allowed to say no, and then you're allowed to say yes. You're allowed to say yes and then no. And they talked about this process you can do with your partner called the traffic lights, where every 10 seconds, the person who's receiving touch has to give an answer, which will be either yes, please, if it's like, this is really good, I want more of this. Yes, if it's just nice, yeah, I like it, it's good. No, if you don't like that anymore and you want them to do something else. Or goodbye if you want them to stop touching you altogether. And then they don't touch you again until you say hello and welcome the touch back. And it's, really, it's a beautiful exercise to be sort of feeling into what do I like and what does my partner like, because you're getting so much feedback every 10 seconds. You're getting an answer of how they're relating to that experience.
And that's really cool from the perspective of, being able to go, if it's a no, it doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong. Like, it's just a no for that person. Like, some people love the back of their knees being stroked and it's an erogenous zone for them. Me, it just makes me laugh and giggle because it tickles. It doesn't make me feel horny.
And a no is only a no right now. It might be that there's, another time that it's a yes, but there will be some hard no's that's an always no, never do that. And this is a sometimes no, sometimes yes.
There's two things I wanted to just share about. One is the Belinda Stott message that I got, is that men are like a padlock with a key. You can go to the penis or the bum, touch it, and they start to get turned on. Women are like a combination lock. It changes daily. You know, like some days you can come to my breasts and I'm like, no, don't touch them. And other days I'm like, get on my breasts, like, because it all depends on hormones, cycles, like those types of things. So yeah, like women do shift and change a lot more with what feels good and what doesn't. For the other thing was about the traffic light thing, or the being able to say yes and then no and yes and then no. I heard a really good analogy about, deciding that I'm out for a night, Richie, I meet you out, in a bar, and you say, do you want to come back to my house for a cup of tea? And I get back to your house and I go, I don't want the cup of tea. You're not going to sit me down and force that cup of tea down my throat. And that was an analogy for rape and sexual abuse, and I thought that's really
people
cool.
say, do you want to come back to my house for a cup of tea? It's like, are you actually inviting me for a cup of tea, or are you asking me back to your house for sex? Because I'd rather just have that clarity. So, that's something that I would be quite avert about and say, well, if you're inviting me for a cup of tea, yes, I'll come back to your house. If you're inviting me back for sex, then no, I won't. It's like cryptic, isn't it?
Yeah. But one of the things that helps people, just going to what we talked about in the last episode about the weight, the love and the hate thing, if I say I hate sex, I hate that, I'm not going to be motivated to, like if I start telling myself I love sex and I love doing that and and it might not be that I love the sex, I love being intimate with my partner, I love the connection that it creates, I love the cuddles we have afterwards, I love the orgasms, whatever it is, or even if it's like the choice thing, I'm choosing to do this because it brings us closer together. It creates intimacy. It's the way that we connect. I'm choosing to do this because I love my partner and I know that he loves sex, but today I'm choosing not to because maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm stressed, or actually I'm choosing to do it because I'm stressed and because I'm in pain, because the endorphins and the hormones and everything that's flooded after an orgasm, I feel really good. And where's the stress now? It's gone.
The constant thing that pops up would be, I'm just tired. And then what would you say to females that have said it, and how do we respond as males?
Yeah, so tired is a big one. Tired is massive. It's a block for so many things. I started changing that belief straight off. I'm full of energy. I've got enough energy. I can balance my energy. I've got enough energy to bounce on a trampoline and have sex with my partner. So I can start changing that at that level. So you can say like, okay, we're going to have sex on a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Saturday morning or da-da-da. but we're going to bring in things to make it exciting. So we're going to bring in a bit of dress up, a bit of role play, toys, you know, lubes, things to make it exciting. So it's different, you know, if you like fantasy and things, one time you do your fantasy, another time you might do your partner's fantasy, you know, like sometimes it might just be fantasy in your head, what you're thinking, your partner doesn't need to know. Tired one, I think, is a big story that we tell ourselves. And
well, I think at a physiological level, if you're feeling blocks, your body will produce tiredness.
yes, yeah.
So they may be tired.
That's right.
But
So they are,
curious.
yes, they are actually feeling tired. It's not like they're saying I'm tired and they're not actually tired, because they are. But has their mind created that tiredness for a reason, for a block?
What a beauty. Love it. It's just been awesome that the couple of weeks that we had that conversation around weight loss and the modeling or the same emotions that are attached to what you're talking today. Which has been awesome, breaking down those barriers, those constraints that hold us back to live, I guess, a fulfilling life, really. Yeah. You know, we meet so many people that are either starved from moving, progressing forward, or they're stuck not progressing forward and living the life they should do. So really, really cool that you've brought so much nuggets today. Again, crikey. And this is going to go hit the airwaves big time, because I think we all need love. I'm still stuck on the slug in the ear thing, you know, the tongue in the ear. It didn't bring joy to me at all.
No,
the tongue in the ear, but nevertheless.